Welcome to the Freedom Hustles podcast, where host John and Andy take you on a journey of liberation away from the 9-to-5 grind. Explore side hustles, remote work, and the skills to help you unlock true freedom. Brought to you by freedomskillsacademy.com, this podcast is your gateway to independence and financial empowerment.
Okay, so there you go. There's the new jingle for the Freedom Hustles podcast. So how you doing,
cool.
Andy? You all right?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Thank you very much. Been a cold, miserable, rainy day in Portugal. It's it's not. You come to Portugal for the sunshine, and it's been absolutely hammering it down. How's it over there? How are you doing?
Yeah, we've been all right today. Yeah, it's been all right. It's been about 13, 14 degrees today, so it's better be
Same
nice
here.
tomorrow. Yeah, yeah. We haven't had any rain, so anyway. But yeah. So episode 54. Tonight we're talking about email marketing again. We had a little chat in the week. We've been running some tests and running some ads to some of our newsletters and bits and pieces, and the discussion come up, didn't it, about sort of single opt-in versus double opt-in. So yeah, and the sort of the talking points behind that. I know there's a lot of debate, is a fair way of saying it. It seems to be, and I am sort of stereotyping a little bit, but it seems to be the kind of the American audiences and that sort of the old style money MLM and biz op and all that type of stuff. They tend to be okay with the single opt-in, don't they? Whereas we are more lean into the sort of double opt-in. Perhaps you want to kind of explain the thing.
I think, yeah, I mean, with the single opt-in and the double opt-in, there's, like I say, there's two schools of thoughts, but it also depends on really what you want to do with your email list. There's because you mentioned about a lot of Americans. I do know a few Americans who prefer double opt-in, but then that's also the same people who prefer to have buyers as opposed to freebie seekers. There's a specific reason, we'll get into that. But the double opt-in is favored by those who are wanting to build an email list full of people who have actually made more of a conscious decision to be on it. With the single opt-in, it's too easy for anybody to basically opt in. They just put the name in. They don't have to confirm. They just put the name in, and they go straight to whatever it is that you're giving away for free, and you probably never hear from them again. And there's a lot of people are like that. And if you build an email list that's full of basically freebie seekers, you have a large email list with probably a small actual customer database, more amount of people who's going to buy from you. So this could be because we tested something, didn't we? We tested something the other day with solo ads, and a lot of the people who came to the website didn't want to double opt in. They were happy to put their email in. In fact, we actually got an email from a woman replying to the email which says, "Please confirm your subscription," and her reply was, "No, thank you."
Yeah, so which she didn't.
I felt like replying saying, "Oh, thank God for that." I mean,
it's like time.
You've actually saved us paying out for about who you're going to be basically a waste of time. They want everything for free, so if they want things for free, to that point, they're not actually going to opt in for your email newsletter. They're not going to buy.
No.
So I'm beginning to wonder if a lot of people who build these email lists with single opt-in are generally those who are going to start trying to sell solo ads or build up a big email list and just advertise in the email, because then they can go to people and say, "I've got this email list of 20,000 people, and this open rate is whatever, and they can charge £200, $200 for an advert in a newsletter," knowing full well that it's not actually a load of buyers.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean?
I think you're right. I think as well. I think you mentioned there that woman that replied, saying no thanks when we asked for her to confirm. I bet those people, like you say, the single opt-in, the people that are literally just, opting in, getting the freebie, whatever it is, I bet you their hard drives is full up, right, with hundreds of free PDF reports that they have done nothing about, They're
Yeah.
not going to act on any of it. They've not changed their position in, 10 years. I bet they've still been trying to do this game, and I bet you they haven't done anything with any of it. They're just
Yeah.
literally there collecting all this information. They're not acting on any of it. They're not actually doing, do you know what I mean, what's in the document, or they're not trying to learn, or, you know, and so at the end of the day, you're right. What would you rather have? Would you rather have 1,000 people that are just going to do that? Or would you rather have like 50 people that are genuinely interested, that are going to engage, that are going to take on board, what you're sharing? And, I know probably which one I would rather have. And I think that again goes back to the sort of like, like we spoke a little bit about things like vanity metrics. And in a way,
Yeah.
you could measure your email list a little bit like that, because, you know, subscribers don't matter really unless they're doing, if like, we've said that you can have 1 million subscribers if none of them are doing anything, if none of your emails are getting opened, if none of your clicks are being clicked on, then it's pointless really. You just got a massive
Yeah.
bill for your email company, aren't you?
If you speak to a lot of the people who's been in marketing, the email marketing industry for years, they'll say that they'd rather have a small list of a
Mm,
responsive list full of active people who read the emails, as opposed to a large list of freebie seekers who do nothing.
mm,
And like you said, with the freebie seekers who have got a hard drive full of PDFs, they go looking. They're basically like playing, or they love the idea of becoming a marketer or doing something online, but they're not actually willing to put the effort in. If they can't actually, uh, there's a lot of people talk about this, and I sometimes wonder, if there is actually a psychological truth here. It's like they say, we'll talk about this in a few minutes, but someone who buys a product has made that decision to spend money. They are a buyer.
mm,
Someone who basically decides to double opt in are more likely to take more action.
mm,
And it's like those who say that if someone buys something for $5, it can be chucked away. If someone spends $1,000 on something, then they're more likely to work on it because there's more to lose.
mm,
And so basically, the freebie seekers who can't even be bothered to click confirm in an email, if they can't do that, then there has to be, not always, but there has to be some sort of psychological truth to the fact that
mm,
they are just playing at the game. They are just wasting their time as much as yours. They want the freebie. They don't want to click on this. They don't want to do that. Well, they're not going to buy from you.
mm,
You may get one or two now and again who may buy. You might do a fantastic job at converting one or two people, but on the whole, you're not going to get them. I remember once I sold an ebook at £2.99. I thought I gave it at the Bliss price. It's one of those prices where people can buy it, and you're going to look and think, well, if it's not for me, you've only spent £2.99. It's a cup of coffee. You're not going to go chasing down a refund. I actually had one guy. I think I've had two people so far now. I've asked for refunds on a digital ebook for £2.99, and they get to keep it. And I'm thinking,
yeah,
£2.99. You've asked for a refund.
yeah.
You know full well that they are not going to do anything else. If they're, as we say in
No,
England,
yeah,
tight as a duck's arse,
mm,
they are not willing to spend, say, like 2,000, 5,000 building an online business, which will make them thousands of pounds, because they can't even be bothered. They're so afraid to lose £2.99.
mm.
You know what I mean? There must be some psychological truth to these people, and that's why I often wonder with the freebie seekers and the single opt-ins. You're actually just building a list of, I don't know, it's just a
Tire
load of,
kickers is another phrase I hear.
yeah,
Tire kickers. Yeah.
they're just basically people. It's
Mm.
just people going into like a showroom and someone's looking around because it's raining outside, it's somewhere warm. They're
Something
going
to
to look,
do.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, there's something to do. They're not actually going to buy, they're just going to have a look.
Well,
So
no, I mean, the mad thing about it is, it's not that much different to double opt in. If they don't want to, they could double opt in, get the stuff, and then unsubscribe. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? It's like two more clicks. I just don't
exactly.
really don't get it.
Exactly. Well, the thing is, if they're too lazy to double opt in, they're obviously going to be twice or three times as lazy to opt in and then to unsubscribe. That's an
Oh
extra click they're going to
God.
have to do,
Yeah.
and that's going to hurt their little pinky fingers. I mean,
Yeah, they
it's
can't do that. Absolutely too much time on, to
yeah.
waste. Yeah.
But
Okay.
so there's the single opt in, then obviously there's the double opt in, and the double opt in. I used to think. I mean, I was surprised the other day when you was on about the solo ad. Most people wanting single opt-in because I thought single opt-in was generally frowned upon so much these days that very few people used it because with a double opt-in because of spam and spam cam, the sort of the rules and the regulations around email was that it's become so tight to make sure that you email people with their permission. So you're not just spamming people, you're not cold sending emails to mass loads of people, which is illegal and frowned upon. Double opt-in became the norm as I thought it was because once someone's put their email in and clicked please, and then they confirm, you've kind of got double opt-in. You've got twice them saying, please send me your stuff.
And I think the beauty, I think that is right because I think the platform that we use is Aweber, and I can't remember. We don't do single opt-ins anyway, but I think if you want to do a single opt-in, it's a bit of a rigmarole. I think you have to sort of ask permission, or like it's not just a case of clicking a button. There is a few little loops you've got to go through in order
they
to
seem to ask you questions, don't they? Like, are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah, it's a bit of a like, look, you do realise that by doing this, and then you have to kind of agree to things, because obviously, then I think if you get like spam complaints, I don't know this, but I imagine like if you get spam complaints, it's a lot more. I don't know. I would imagine it the sort of the impact could be a bit worse. Like you say, if you've doubled opt in, you can email that person 6 months down the line. Right, having not emailed him for ages, you can email them 6 months down the line. They've confirmed twice that they want to receive emails from you and that they're okay receiving emails from you on anything, marketing, products, blog posts, whatever. So even if you, because I've had it a couple of times where, years ago, I wasn't very proactive, should we say, in emailing my list as frequently as I should. And then I might go a month or 2 months and then not email them and then email them out of the blue. And I've had someone like complain, like, I didn't sign up for this. And it's like, well, actually, you did.
You do get that.
But again, those type of people, I mean, I've got no time for any of that. If people are going to moan and complain, like you said, they're better off not on your email list at the end of the day. So,
Yeah, I remember reading somewhere people saying that instead of getting upset, because when you originally start, you kind of get upset when people unsubscribe because you're trying to give your best content away and whatever, or sell a product, and then they unsubscribe, and you think of. But someone said you should always celebrate the unsubscribes because basically it means that they're not wasting your time or your money, and you don't want them. Because, like I say, going back to the first guy who asked for his £2.99 back from the ebook, I made sure that I removed his name from the email list. And I don't think
he'll probably do it again later.
I don't think he can. Well, yeah, I do emails for a company, and I've actually sold the same product 3 times to 2 or 3 people because they forget that they bought stuff. But he's been, like I say, he's been removed from my list, so he can't buy anything. Because that's the other thing. I mean, I know it's slightly different topic, but if someone buys from you at £2.99, which is the price of a cup of coffee in your Starbucks or Costa Coffee, it's not a lot of money. So if they buy something at £2.99, which is a price where most people go, just shrug it off. If they are so desperate to get their £2.99 back from an ebook, then you don't want to sell them a £600 product or a £2,000 product because they're going to be a nightmare refunder. They'll probably even a serial refunder, and that's the last thing you need.
Yeah, and they know that as well with ebooks and digital products. They know that they've got it. Then, do you know what I mean? It's not like you didn't sort of get access to his hard drive and then go in there and just physically, delete the ebook off your drive so that he's not got it. Like you say, it's a lot of these. It tends to be a thing though, doesn't it? In the internet marketing, digital marketing world. Although I'm seeing it a little bit more now. I didn't buy it, but I was looking at something today. Getting some when we often share products to each other, ideas and angles and stuff like that. And I was looking at something today, and it had on the bottom there, we have a 0 refund policy. They don't refund on anything, none of their digital products. And they were like ebooks, courses, everything like that. 500 quid, 600 quid, 90 quid, £97. no refunds. And again, you can kind of understand where they're coming from to a degree because it does happen. You
I'll tell you. I'll tell you
yeah,
who's good about that, because as we talk about email, and he's big on email, big legendary email marketing copywriter, and that's Ben Settle.
yeah,
And if you ever read any of his sales pages, it will clearly state. I mean, I don't really know how it works in law. Maybe in America it might be different, and you might be
yeah,
because over in the UK they used to have what they call the distance selling law, and I don't know how that works with digital products, but automatically with credit cards and stuff like that, you could ask for a refund. There was some sort of way it didn't sort of meet up, but people like Ben, they'll put on there and they write it into the sales letter that is, this is 200 and whatever, $250. However, there are no refunds. So if you are going to basically think about buying this to have a look and then think it's not for me, ask for a refund, don't, because there's no refunds.
exactly,
the sale
don't.
is final, and it's I've often wondered, because I like that, because I've worked for a couple of companies, a couple of businesses who they've had expensive products and they've had a lot of refunds. And they're happy to give refunds because, believe it or not, refunds take away the risk and kind of helps people make a decision to buy. These guarantees that they're going to get a refund. If they don't like it, they can send it back and get the money back. So it kind of takes the risk out. So they're not going to lose any money. But at the same time, if the product is a bit iffy and they get lots of refunds, then they have a lot of time having to deal with it. So there's office staff having to process the refunds. If the payment's been made on a card, I believe when you use a card transaction, the company is charged for using the card. They don't get the fees back, particularly when there's been a refund. So it can actually cost the business in refund fees. And so sometimes you think, well, there's a logic to these guys who they'd rather have 50 customers who can't be refunded than have 200 customers where 50% of them had to be refunded or so, or because it's the time and effort. There might be more money. They might earn a bit more money, but they still the effort that they had to deal with.
I think in this case, like Ben Settle's case, I mean, you've been on his list for a long time, haven't you? I've only just sort of signed up, but it's brilliant, and I think with him, he doesn't kind of hide the fact that he is going for the kind of, well, he clearly targets the sort of high end, the higher earners and things like that. So I think in that sense, he probably thinks, you know what, these people are going to be shelling out for my products. My products aren't cheap. They've obviously got a bit of money anyway. So he'd rather, like you say, go after them. Do you know what I mean? That sort of demographic, if you like. And obviously he finds a bit, a higher success with it. It's all right, like you say, pricing it at like, I'm a fan, like I like the fact of being able to price things low. We've got stuff on the Freedom Skills Academy, which is ridiculously cheap, isn't it, for what it is? Some of the stuff that we've sale on there, really cheap ebooks, which do contain some really good content, which if you act on, you will more than make the money back. And we could charge. We've done it. We've seen it. I don't want to go off on a tangent now, but we've actually used companies before. We've sold stuff through companies, and we've sold stuff ourselves. Obviously, I've got to be a little bit careful what I say here, but we could be like miles apart, couldn't we, on the pricing? Do you know what I mean? And essentially, it could be the same product.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and again, I think that comes down to the sort of, the target audience, and that can be who is on that particular email list. So if you've got a list of hungry buyers that are literally anything that you churn out, doesn't matter what the price is, they're going to have a little look at it. Or if you're at the early stages, you may be just sort of testing the water a little bit.
Yeah.
You might want to sort of put your prices down a bit, or in some cases, break things out and even give stuff away. But
I think you've obviously, like you say, you've got to start somewhere, but some people can go in at the high end because they've got the confidence or the plan, know what they're doing. I know we're going slightly off a tangent here, but it always reminds me of the story of the estate agents. estate agents. You imagine an estate agent let's say they make 5% on each sale. You can have the one who lives in a town and he's got about 500 properties on his books, between pricing from sort of 30,000 up to sort of 300,000. Then you got that high. You got that. There was a TV series about people who sold properties to billionaires or multimillionaires.
Yeah.
So they're 5% on a property
Huge.
sale worth like 3.5 million, and so they would only have like a handful of pieces on their books.
Yeah.
So instead of having to do advertising for like 500, they would just do the advertising on, and they because they had less work to do, less customers to deal with, and they were with higher paying customers, they were able to do a better sort of concentrate on the job more. It was less stressful because they just had 2 or 3 clients they could focus on. They could focus their efforts on it better, so they could actually earn more and do less.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's like you say, you pick your audience, but at the beginning, for most people, when they started out in email marketing, they generally have no idea how they're going to get the traffic or where they're going to get traffic from. So yeah, sometimes you have to start by giving away something free or giving something, selling something. So this is the next thing on the discussion, wasn't it? We've done the opt-in rates, but we talked about which is best, because there's the free lead magnet and then there's the paid for lead magnet, or part of a what they call a self-liquidating offer. So we've used free before. Now, for those who don't know what that means, that's basically to get someone on your email list, they have to have a reason. So basically it's kind of like a bribery. It's something you give away, and it could be an email. It could be an email course. It could be an ebook. It could be a video workshop, a video course, or even just a simple newsletter. But to get them on your email list, they have to basically get something in exchange for their details. So that's the free version. Then the paid version is where you basically do a cheap book, between £5 and £10. And there's reasons for that. And that is because sometimes it's best to have an email list of buyers.
Yeah. And imagine that, like you say, if the only way people are going to get on that list is if they, purchase something, then that all those people on there, we've got lists, haven't we? We've got lists of segregated people, and we have got a list of a product that we sold, a very specific product in a specific niche. It was in the sort of trading niche, and we've got a product and they're solely buyers. All of them are just buyers, because the only thing they've ever got off us was a course. And that's, and then we've got other stuff, like you say, the newsletter niche. The newsletter list is good because that's people that have just found content. They might have found a video, or they might have found a blog post or something like that. And, those people are great because they have an interest in your content. Therefore, they're going to be quite happy if you send them regular content, pointing them to, other resources. And we do that on, one of our newsletters is, kind of like resources, isn't it? Just, stuff that they're going to help with, stuff that they're going to find useful. And all those people, they come in via the free route. I mean, I guess we literally, just before we jumped on this podcast tonight, we were sort of looking at another little method, weren't we? And
yeah,
and that was, I guess that way of doing it, the email marketing way of doing it, is still kind of there, and that's the old classic, which was sort of like the short form PDF, which is really all that really is essentially a lead magnet for an upsell of something else. In the case that we just talked about, there was a very short, basic 4-page PDF, which didn't really tell you anything. It just kind of led you down the path of what you can expect. And then at the bottom of that would be basically a buy button on the PDF to the higher end courses, and then
to the main sales page.
Yeah. So basically, that was essentially it. It was literally opt-in, tripwire straight over to the sales page. And then the beauty of that is, if they don't buy straight away, I guess now they'll just nurture them through a series of 5 or 6 emails and to try and get them to buy. But
basically, there was What they call as the self-liquidating offer, or the self-liquidating funnel. But basically, all emails really should be that. I mean, we, as you mentioned, we've got people who've come to our newsletter because they've read something or they've seen a video on one of the platforms, or on the line, or whatever, on YouTube, watched probably this podcast, come to it. So they've decided, they made a decision to come to our newsletter because they found what we were talking about interesting, and they probably want to know more. So they've got an interest. So we've not had to try to bribe them, other than we've just put stuff out there and they thought that's quite good, they'll come, and so they join the newsletter. But even so, even the newsletters though themselves are written in a way to inform, to entertain. But ultimately, there is this point where we are hoping that somewhere down the line that these people will buy one or two products. So everything should be about that. And with the so with the free lead magnet, even though you're giving away something for free, the idea should be that it's got to be really good, and then you're going to try and get people to buy at a later date. Going back to the 4-page PDF that you mentioned earlier, I remember, because we're talking about sort of paid and free, there was a guy who used to run Facebook ads, and I remember clicking through his Facebook ad to get to his lead magnet. I think I paid for it, and I think it was like $4 or $5 or something, and it was a 4-page PDF, and it was like, this is actually ridiculous. When you compare that, my £2.99 ebook is like 30, 40 pages or something of information, which, as you mentioned earlier, they probably earn, if they put even just an ounce of work into it, they've got more than £2.99 back. But I paid for this book, and it was like, actually that's a bit poor. But that was part of the self-liquidating offer. That's where he was using Facebook ads to drive people to this ebook. They were buying the ebook, and then once they bought that ebook, that helps pay the adverts.
Yeah, he's trying to just net zero the ad spend.
He is. It's breaking, basically he's sort of breaking even. Or as I once remember hear someone saying, he's like, you spend $1 1,000 times. So you basically pay $1 on a Facebook ads. Someone buys a product, you get $1 back, and it's just going round and round and round. Yeah. But then his emails as well, then as soon as they started coming through, they're selling other products. So the profit is on the back end. But with that email list that he was building compared to one that's from a freebie list, because the people had spent $4 or $5 on that ebook, they were all buyers. And they've made this conscious decision. It's slightly a bit different now on the internet because everything's stored, but they made that conscious decision to get their credit card out, their debit card, put in their details, buy that product. And there's a big mental shift between getting something for free and deciding to buy. And once you bought something, if you actually like what the content was, then there's a greater chance that that person will buy from you again. So there's this big push, especially in some of the big American companies, to not even give anything away for free. That sometimes don't even publish stuff on their websites. They just basically run adverts on Facebook, send them to one page to buy something, and then they're filtered through the system that way.
Right, blimey. No, I didn't realise it was going like that. I mean, I know of obviously that sort of setup. It's something that, I've been familiar with in terms of, the idea, the concept of running Facebook ads to get, but I didn't realise there was like immediate, the first chance was, they had to buy the product.
Yeah, I mean, great bloke Mike Shreve. I'm just reading one of his emails today. He's now got a bit like Ben Settle. Ben Settle has his Email Players, which is a print magazine at $97 or something a month. And Mike Shreve's doing one, The Peaceful Millionaire, I think it's called, and that's $95 each month. I think the first month's $30 or something. After that, it's $95 or something. Wow. Issue 2's out now. But in there, it says you'll notice that, I think one of the articles he said was going to be in this print was why he doesn't put a lot on his website. You go to his website, you don't see anything about the newsletter, you don't see anything about some of the other products, and that's because basically he has this book, the 1 million method, I think it's called, which is like $9.99 or something. For years he's been running Facebook ads to this book, and people are buying the book, and then they start getting filtered through to all the other products and whatnot. And that's his main entry, is just that one book. So use Facebook ads, send them to the book, people buy the book, they go onto his email list, they are buyers, and then they get filtered through the system.
And that, with that book being such a high price, he can afford to spend quite a lot on ads before he only needs one to make a big chunk of that ad spend back.
Yeah.
And
And
like
then
you say,
it makes a lot of the rest of the money back if it has failed, if it's not quite break even. Because I remember seeing statistics for another guy who did this. He was, let's say he spent 1,000 on Facebook ads and he probably got £800 back in book sales, so he's down 200. But then everything else that came after that, all the other courses,
and the people
so
that
he
stay
makes
on
a
that list
profit.
and carry on buying stuff for months or years to come, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're kind of near the end of it, but I think because we just mentioned two other people's monthly products, I think it wouldn't be a bad thing to just drop our own in there, seeing as we do have our own podcast, and this is our own platform, so we can do that. But we have our very own, which is the VIP Freedom Skills Academy newsletter. Newsletter / kind of club. And that is very modestly priced. We're not asking for $97 or $95 a month for that.
I was going to say that, yeah.
Ours comes in at a very, very affordable. I think it's $5.99 British pounds. And on that, we don't just cover. We cover loads of stuff. This is exclusive only for the members that sign up for that. So we do obviously the free newsletter, which goes out in the email in the inbox most days of the week. But this one is basically a once a month. This is exclusive only for the payer members. So we cover all sorts of things like, we've talked quite a lot about. There's been loads of tutorials shared within that of money making methods that we've all personally done. Some of it's in the written form, and I know like you've done some really good sort of long form articles. But we've also done video content as well on that. So
yeah. Well, let me just quickly say sometimes it's PDF, sometimes it's video, sometimes it may be a mixture of the both. But
both.
The last one, the January newsletter, which was basically 10K in 10 days, and it was about affiliate marketing, and that was a 42-minute long video talking about the topic, what I'd studied, what we'd learned, and it's about these people who are making around 10K, probably more, around several $1,000s a month doing affiliate marketing with high ticket affiliate products.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's a 42-minute video on something which only costs you, I think it's $5. I think it's $5.99 a month. We're talking about putting the price up soon, aren't we? But
we are, but at the moment,
looking at the content that we're publishing, it's worth far more than the $5.99 we're charging.
This month's little sneak peek. I know this is probably irrelevant because it depends what time you're listening to this podcast, but let's say the February 24 edition is going to be a little tutorial, which for anyone looking to get into video content, especially short form video content, will find particularly useful. So we'll leave it at that. We don't need to wrap up like we normally do because we're going to just play the outro for this.
Exciting.
We've got some new jingles, so we can literally just sign out by saying thanks very much, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you and goodbye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Freedom Hustles podcast. We hope you found inspiration and insights to help fuel your journey towards freedom. Don't forget to join our free newsletter at freedomskillsacademy.com/newsletter, where you can find exclusive tips, updates, and resources to help elevate your hustle. Until next time, keep hustling towards your dreams.